Hey gang, welcome back to Daddy's Garage. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but I want to let you know I've been working on Jade and prepping for the repaint. Now, in the previous segments or other videos, I've shown where I had issues with the door, primarily that it was light in color, and there were also some problems with the fender as there were some dark areas, and it was just a combination of things that made it look really bad. I had to repaint the door regardless, and I probably had to redo the fender as well. And people have suggested that I just do that. Just paint those areas, blend it in, and hope for the best. I really didn't want to go that route. The problem I have is I was concerned with paint match. So I had painted the deck lid and the hood separately to begin with. And knowing that I had to add more paint and material to the door may have compounded the whole thing. So, you know, if I'd done all that work, and then I set the hood and deck lid on and realized that the color didn't match, I would be starting over anyway. Along with that, and I'll show some segments going forward in this video, I had found some other issues that I was concerned with, and I wanted to address those. So this gives me an opportunity, although a lot of work, to take care of the paint issues with the door, the fender, and some of the other minor things that I found on the rest of the car. And I'll show those. So at this point, I'm ready to spray again. I have a whole new can of paint, clear coat, I have everything ready to go. And I've been prepping on this for over a week now, probably even longer than that. But I finally got everything taped up. And again, I will show more segments of this as I go along. So I'm going to do another time-lapse type video of painting of the car. I'm not going to mix paint. I'm not going to show you all that stuff. I've already done that in other videos. If you want to see that, you can go to those and look as well. But I'm going to focus on getting paint on the car. So I will probably just have the time-lapse camera set up to film this. And let's hope it all goes smooth. I wanted to show you some of the small flaws that I found with the car. Now, I've already started repairing those, in preparation for the next round of paint. But this area of the door, if you look at the other videos, you may see there were some vertical lines right about here. What they were from, I have no idea, because I've been over this car many times. In fact, you can see one right there. Maybe see it. I mean, this one's less pronounced than the ones that were here, but my eye can catch it, and maybe yours can too. I don't know how it shows up in the camera. So what I'm doing, I'm sanding this with 600 on a paint stick and just getting rid of those vertical lines. And so that's one good thing about starting over and making this right. Back here, I had another problem. And I've talked about this before as well. When I've done repair work in the past, I've mentioned about putting body filler over the whole panel and sanding it. Well, I don't know if you recall, but there was a dent right here in the quarter panel. And I only fixed that dent. And the filler ended up kind of being a circle, let's say. Well, when I painted it, I could see that. It revealed itself. And even though I've had, epoxy on here, I had high build, 2 rounds of high build, fully block sanded it. And I've mentioned this before, I can still see these flaws in this sort of condition. So anyway, had I taken body filler and covered the bulk of the panel, or even the whole panel, and then lightly sanded it to where it was almost transparent, that would not have shown up. So now I'm doing the same thing, taking a paint stick, and in this case I'll use 600 to start, and I'm going to block that off, make sure it's gone. You may even be able to see, I know it's hard to tell right now, but there is a little bit of a witness right there where it's still visible. So I will take care of that as well. Now, far less obvious, but I know I could see it when I was spraying. I don't know what happened. And again, the eye is not going to pick this up with the sun or whatever hitting it. But for some reason, there is a scratch right here in the roof. And again, you can't normally see that. I can see it because I know it's there. But that scratch is somehow it's like in the base. Again, you would not see this, but painting over all of this is going to address that and take care of it. So A very minor thing, but it'll be okay. And the primary reason I'm starting all this over again is because of this color difference between the door, the fender, and that's not going to work. One other thing I did notice, and I don't know why, again, this is something you wouldn't normally pick up, but there is a line right here. And that line is kind of, you can see it when I transfer back and forth. It's almost like this is a high spot. And I don't know why that's there. I'm going to try to eliminate that as best I can. Again, using the 600 to sand that over and try to flatten that out as much as I can. The fender has not been worked yet, has not been sanded and buffed. You know, it still has, I pointed out there were some runs down here. So don't even look at the fender. But in the previous video when I talked about buffing, I talked about a buildup on the edge of clear coat. And maybe you can now see that, maybe, but it's just high right on the edge. Almost like it's high on the edge, dips in and then flattens out. And again, this is something, you know, sanding and buffing will take care of that, but that's trivial at this point. Okay, I'm going to try this out. This is from Harbor Freight. This is a Braun Professional Rechargeable Color Match Light, and hopefully it'll help with the paint process. Now, I've mentioned before, I think I've mentioned before, you know, you could buy a sun gun. They are $500 or $600. This was $39.99, and there is a part number. So I'm going to open up the package and get it charging, and I'm going to actually try to take a look at that door, even though I can see it and you can see it, but I want to see if it makes a difference with this light. This is right out of the box. Haven't done anything to it. I think it has, the base is magnetic, so you can pivot it. You know, if you want to clamp it on or put it on something. It also pivots the other direction. So I'm going to turn this thing on. Just kind of looking at it right here. It's got a little soft area there. Don't know what that means, but there's a push button. And there's a light. Now, again, it may be that the camera doesn't pick up everything, but I can see a difference in just doing that. Of course, it helps that I know it's there, right? But I know I can see it. Well, we'll find out. I mean, I'll use this light moving forward when I do the rest of the car again. It also has, looks like it has another, yeah, 2 settings. So anyway, I know it's there. You know it's there. So let's fix it. I was looking for how to plug this in, but apparently it plugs into the base, and then it has those 2 contact points on the back of the light. That's what those are. So it's not fully charged. You can see the little lights blinking in there. I'm sure that means it's only not even half charge. So I'm gonna let this charge up and move on. Okay, so part of the prep process is I want to make sure I'm not getting overspray, let's say on the back side of the deck lid and the hood. So as you can see, I've masked off the perimeter of the deck lid on the car, and I'm going to put foam up against the inside of the opening all the way around that's going to mask it. The problem is when the deck lid comes down, there's a lot of space in between the tail panel and the deck lid. So overspray could easily get up on the underside of that, and that's why I'm masking all of it. I'm still going to put foam down here. I'm going to try to pile it up in effect to block off as much as I can and go from there. Also, I put some washers between the extension and the quarter so that I have a gap. I did not want this tight, so when I sprayed, I would not get a web of clear coat. So hopefully that is enough of a gap. You also see there's a little bit of, this is actually self-etch. I had broken through in a few places, and rather than risk having the reducer affect what was underneath here, I'll put some self-etch on, and that will alleviate that problem. This shouldn't be, I've done this before, and this should not affect the color. At least I hope it doesn't. But I'm going to be doing this in a variety of places. But I have both the extensions on, and I want to get the foam underneath the perimeter and see how that looks. Okay, so here's how the foam is along the perimeter. I did double stack right here in that short section where the deck lid dips down. So if I bring this down, now I've got foam blocking that area, and I think that'll be fine. So now I'll move on. I may start checking getting the doors ready or working towards the front of the car. Obviously I still need to mask off the window openings, wheel houses, all that stuff. So as I progress, I'll show you more that I get done. So a little more progress. I have the back window taped up, and I started working on towards the front of the car, let's say. But I want to show you this. I tape off the drip rail. Why? Well, if you get too much paint on there, you'll have a very hard time putting trim on. So by putting the tape on, that'll keep the next layer of base and clear off of the drip rail. I also mask the inside of the roof opening there. Just I don't need any more paint on there. So just mask that off. Up front here, what I'm doing, I've masked it across the hood. I'm going to add foam underneath this as well, and on this edge. Around where the fender fits, no foam. It's too tight for that to happen. I'm masking inside of the door opening. I'm not done yet with the door. I've been test fitting that, opening the door, make sure it closes and everything. But I'm trying to avoid overspray getting in there because, well, it can get on the paper, but I'm not going to have foam here. I'm just going to let the paint blow into it and be fine with it. Up front, what I've done is I've stretched the 3M masking plastic over everything. As you can see, I have the perches for the rock guard sticking out. I'm going to have it on there, and if I get paint on the brackets, it's not a big deal. I can just paint over that. It'll be fine. Now my concern with the fender here was whether the plastic would try to work its way out and kind of flap in a breeze. So I taped it to the upper control arm, and that limits the amount of material that can move. Once I get the fender on, I'll blow some air at it just to see if it flutters and will come out towards the lip of the fender. And then, if it has to, I'll do more with that. I haven't done much on this side yet. I've started just stretching the plastic and getting it ready. Now when the fenders are on, of course the hood will be closed, and I'll have foam on the edge of the fenders so that they are, the hood overlaps it. And then of course I'll bolt on. If I have to, I'll put paper down here just to keep everything up and out of the way, but I'm going to put the rock guard on, the lower valance in place, because everything's getting painted at the same time. So that's where I'm at right now. I think this is working okay, and I'm going to just continue on. The next steps I'll do, I will mask off the windshield opening. Once I'm satisfied with the door and I have the foam in the edges all the way around, I will back mask the door opening, the quarter window opening, and make sure this is all blocked off. I need to get some tape inside here just so it doesn't blow in and come back around and get on the door panel. So that'll be easy enough. Just push some tape up underneath there. Same way here. I'll have to tape this off. But that's where I'm at right now. So I'll just keep on working on it. I'm getting a little closer. I have masked off, of course, the windshield. I think I mentioned this, that I masked off the drip rail edge so that there's not a lot of paint on there. So when it comes back to put the trim on, it's not fighting with you. Also, I went over the top of the posts for the studs or for the clips. So I did mask those as well to try to keep paint off. I do have foam around the hood. I masked off the openings for the inserts. And then under here, I did a multitude of things.
I did not mask off the whole underside of the hood. I still may do it. I don't know yet. But I did add some paper up the top here. I put some tape down the sides. And I put the foam, like I had said, on the sides here. And then I added some tape along with that to try to keep everything from getting, overspray all over. So that's what that's doing. And then there's paper behind the lower valance. I wanted to put the rock guard in, but I realized that I'll be overlapping at the ends of the headlight bucket area there, so I decided not to do that. I'll put the rock guard and then the two headlight rings, which I had missed the last time, around the headlights there. I'll put those on the stand back there and spray them. Otherwise, things are looking good. I still need to wipe it down a few more times to make sure there's nothing on it. And I will also mask, again, below the rocker panels, wheel wells. And, I've been taking air and blowing it around to see what the plastic does, because the last thing you want is some plastic to come out and end up on the side of the fender, with clear coat. So it looks like I still have to tape some of that up, which I'll do, make sure it's all up and out of the way. But I'm making progress. So hopefully I can get it all taped tonight yet, and maybe spray it tomorrow. We'll see. I know I've already shown this, but I did have the rear valance attached. I took it back off and I put some paper behind it. I've also papered the wheel openings, the rocker panel. Of course, I've already mentioned all this other stuff, and that's about it. I did put some paper up front here behind the front valance, just trying to keep it out of the core support. I can't paint the rock guard on the car because it overlaps the headlight extensions there. I think I mentioned that already. So, I've wiped it down, I've cleaned it. I actually went around it last night and I wiped it down about probably 10 times, honestly, spraying it and wiping it. I still have to do the wax and grease remover and go from there. But everything else, it's all looking good. So let's hope it looks good when I'm all done. Okay, I know the fans are running, but I'm gonna leave them on. Right now, things are looking really good. I have one little flaw that I'll show you, but I think, you know, I'm using this little sun gun type of light. Let me turn this off. Turn on this little light. And with this, I don't see any light areas. You know, of course, this is 3 coats now on top of the clear coat that was on the car, right? There's really, I mean, the coverage looks great. I don't see any bleed through of any of that primer that I put on. I think everything looks good. The one flaw is, you may be able to see it maybe, right there in the shadow of the light. Some sort of little piece of string or something got in there. I picked it out and I put a little extra color on top, but I'm leaving it. I'm not gonna fight with it. I think it's ready for clear coat. So that's what I'm gonna do. Start mixing clear and get it sprayed. Okay, here it is. 3 coats of base, 3 coats of clear, 3 gallons of sweat. I use that little sunlight to verify that I had color. If I don't have color on it now, too bad. It's staying the way it is. But I think things look pretty good. There's still just a little bit of trash, very minor. I mean, very minor. Pretty happy with how all that looks. Again, the color is not blue. I know the camera shows it as blue, but anyway. Now I gotta get it unmasked. Okay, that'll be the end of this video. You know, it has been a struggle. Finding that error in the side of the door just kind of deflated me. So I've been working on it, and it's just been a tedious process to get it into this state. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, I think it turned out better than it was. Obviously, it should have the right color on it now. and hopefully there's no other issues that pop up and I can finish this car and move on and get it put together and live life. But that'll be the end. So I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. You know, I don't know what the next video will be, but until next time, and whatever that video is, take care of yourselves. See you.